Hi everyone, so we just got some surprise patch notes for patch 1.1.3 that is coming out next Tuesday on August 29. So this is still doing season 1, they're still continuing to do some small updates. I don't really expect like crazy stuff to be happening anymore for the rest of the season. They've already announced season 2, if you haven't seen that, you might want to check that out. It actually looks pretty cool. But this patch here, it does have some small little things. Mostly bug fixes, a bit of quality of life stuff. For example, when you're at the occultist, to remember your filter for season or a class only, and a bunch of other stuff in there. But one topic in particular that I want to highlight here is crowd control changes. So Blizzard has been nerfing crowd controls across the board, like for various patches now. Some of which was on the previous patch, for example, with the removal of cold enchanted affixes on Nightmare Dungeon sigils. So that already took out a great deal of that. But also I am fairly certain that at least going from pre-season to season 1 or somewhere around that time, they actually nerfed crowd controls, like shadow nerf them basically. Because I just feel like monsters don't really do that much anymore. And now they're doing even less. So you can see that here. So cold enchanted elites that attack in quick succession now don't proc cold enchant on every hit. So I guess this will also apply to stuff like Cruel Fiends, for example, that used to shoot like a barrage of their little thorn arrows. And that could still kind of insta-freeze you if you got hit by multiple of those. So it seems like there's going to be some kind of a cooldown now or so. So that is really nice. Also, Chilling Wind was definitely still a bit of an issue. I think the scales with like the Nightmare Dungeon tiers and chills you more on higher tiers or so. At least that was my impression. And sometimes you would actually run into a situation where you just get like instantly frozen. And I guess that will not happen that much anymore. And there's other small stuff here, like the cannibal guys that have like this huge like knockdown attack. That is nerfed now. Yeah, the cold spiders are nerfed, the cold goldmen are nerfed. The snakes don't stun you that much anymore, etc. So that seems pretty nice. They also nerfed the fire enchanted explosion, so when you defeat the monster, there's one less wave now, which always struck me as a bit weird. So you might have seen that for sure, where you defeat the fire enchanted and then it explodes, and then after the explosion there is still one more wave coming out. So I guess that is gone now. And also the explosion itself does less damage, so that should like one-shot people less often. And also there's the charge attack from the Bloated Corpse Fiends that also does like out of the ordinary damage. So it's kind of nice that it is getting tuned down a little bit. Another nice quality of life change here is affixes on items will now sort consistently. Look at that. We have the technology apparently. That was definitely a huge pain point, I think, for trying to compare items quickly while you're doing your runs and sorting out your inventory real fast. So now there's probably going to be some kind of like, direct like priority basically, which items are, which stats are at the top and which are at the bottom. And they say that it also, this is the foundation for the ongoing work of making random affixes easier to compare. So there might be some other features coming that, maybe calculate the numbers for you better and actually give you like a real like comparison between items depending on your build. Who knows? I don't think they have said anything about this. So let's see. There are a few other changes here for multiplayer in particular. So I'm not really too familiar with multiplayer. I have barely played any multiplayer myself, but it seems like there were certain effects that apply to other people that should not have applied. So some examples here are Shatter and, for example, some of those Paragon Glyphs and Legendary Notes exploit weakness on the Rogue, for example. So that was one here where you kind of stack up an increased damage taken effect. Seems like that was actually unintentionally working in groups. And there's like similar stuff on other classes here, like the Amplify Glyph on the Necromancer, where the monster takes more damage and these kind of things. So this is only supposed to work for yourself. This is what it says in the tooltip, and apparently that was like maybe a bug. So this might be important for people that play in groups a lot. And especially on like something like Shatter, I imagine this might be like a bigger change here. Everything else seems kind of minor, but I'm not really sure how that worked exactly before that. Other than this, not really much to see in this patch, so this is all you need to know in my opinion. And well, let's see what else comes during the season and also what season 2 will hold. I'm quite excited for the announcements that we're gonna hear probably in the next weeks. Also quite excited to play some Diablo 3 again, so if you want to check that out, I'm going to be blasting that as well. I'm going to be uploading a bunch of videos, so stay tuned for those, and of course for my remaining Season 1 content. And other than that, hope you enjoyed this, and see you guys next time.